welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, ET Now's special initiative that celebrates the undying entrepreneurial spirit of micro, small and medium enterprises. This is the only daily MSME platform in the country, a show where you can voice your concerns and get answers to all your queries directly from our team of experts. We understand the issues that you, the MSME entrepreneur, face, and the show aims to bring you the most relevant and the most updated information on everything related to your business. Today on our Insight segment, a chat with Zoomcar, and on Bright Sparks, we're featuring a conversation with Amazon. Self-driving car startup Zoomcar is trying to change the face of urban transport here in India. Set up in 2013, this company, which started with just a handful of cars, is now present pan-India. I spoke with Greg Moran, co-founder of the company, about expansion plans and how companies can work with challenges in the transportation space. Listen in. Thank you so much for coming down to our studios and talking to us today here on the Leaders of Tomorrow, Craig. Always a pleasure to have young entrepreneurs who come on the show. So maybe I can ask you to start by talking to our viewers about where you got the idea from Zoomcars, and why did you decide that India was the right market for a product like yours?
Sure. So certainly something that went back a long time and is very deeply seated in sort of my roots. And I was always someone who, even from the time as a college student, I always knew that I kind of wanted to leave an impact and make a mark when it came to thinking about environmentally sustainable businesses. And that was the large overarching idea for me. And so when I came out of school, I focused within finance because that was my sort of specialization. And when I was there, we had a large presence in India, and we were exposed to a lot of deals within energy and clean tech, so like solar, wind, and these types of really sustainable endeavors. And really I saw a huge opportunity, huge potential, and this was 2008, 2009, but I found that it was very top down, the government was very much involved, and it was hard to build something really from the ground up in a very fast time, and I wanted to do something that was going to be a little bit more dynamic. And so I was thinking, well, can you do something for the cities, focusing more through technology, more from that ground up, where you wouldn't have to rely as much on the government for support? And thought about the transportation ecosystem, and was really thinking, well, why is it so fragmented? Why is it so broken? Can you have a better alternative, in our case, around sort of car ownership, and say that can you have virtual car ownership? Can you have an idea where people don't need to buy cars, instead they can just take it for just a fraction of the time, only when they need it? And so that was a starting basis, and by the hour, by the day, by the week, or by the month. And this was in early 2011 and to 2012, and I was on the ground here for about 3 months, and we just decided to run with it and kick it off.
What advice would you have for our viewers in terms of how you work through what you think is a great idea and something that will necessarily make money?
Sure. Well, I think it's really important, and a lot of folks oftentimes forget this, but you really want to go ahead and think through end to end about that idea. And when I say that, I mean actually put pen to paper in this context, actually draw up a working operating model where you have a long plan that you actually write out, and you actually think through all the different mechanical parts of that business, whether it's the operations, the marketing, the finance, etc., and then go ahead and build an actual spreadsheet. Actually think about the numbers of the business too. And I think if you put those two things together early on up front as part of the idea, that will help contextualize things way more, and it'll put you on a much better trajectory. And that's what we did, which I would really urge folks to also go down and do.
Okay. Yeah. You had a co-partner when you started who I understand has moved back to the US for personal reasons. That's so right. You've worked in a setup where you both had a co-partner as well as something where you're working on your own. Which model do you think works better, and what advice do you have for our viewers based on that?
Sure. Well, I think there's no hard and fast rule as such. I do think if you look out globally, and particularly in the Indian context, the companies that have fared the best are companies that do have co-founders, so have multiple founding as part of the team. And whether it's 2 guys or 3 guys, I mean sometimes it's a little tough when you have 7 or 8, because then it's hard to delineate different roles. But I think having 2 or 3 is really kind of the ideal sweet spot, because and usually what you end up seeing is one person ends up being a little bit more business oriented, where it's kind of operations, product strategy, and then one person is a little bit more technically oriented, thinking about the core engineering and the architecture. And this is a pretty common format for B2C as well as B2B. And I think, so David and I, my co-founder, both of us came from more of a business background. We did bring on someone very early on who was our CTO, who was effectively kind of like a co-founder. So I think usually those are the best ways, I think, and I would urge others others to look at it along the same lines.
I can imagine that regulation is something that plays a large role in a business like yours.
Sure.
How has that worked for you? Because is there, a framework that has been set in stone as far as your industry is concerned? And if not, what are the challenges from having to work with a regulatory framework that's possibly changing as we speak? And what advice do you have for our viewers then based on your own experiences?
Sure. Well, I think certainly we all know here that the transportation space is one that, in some ways, in many ways, was kind of stuck in the 80s or 90s and hasn't really had time to catch up. And there's been so much rapid innovation, whether it's from Zoomcar, from Uber, from Ola, etc. And this has all happened very quickly in the last 3-4 years. And I think what's really important, more than anything else, is to have sort of the right type of dialogue early on with the different stakeholders. So you really need to make sure that they understand your business model. And I think that's a problem that oftentimes entrepreneurs don't go ahead and really do and make that point. And so I think if it's a transportation business, if it's a logistics business, if it's a food business, I think they really have to understand when you have a model that's very different. You have to work with them and also go both from a state subjects standpoint as well as a central government and have those different dialogues. And starting small, I think, really helps. So I think when you have something that they can bite off and understand, and then you can show to them that this is going to be beneficial to them in some way, where it'll help make their jobs easier, then I think they really open up.
Okay, since you're talking about Ola and Uber, how their business is not exactly similar to what you do, but you're in the similar industry. How do you see competition really changing in the transportation industry? And a lot of our viewers tell us that they don't have, say, the funds which is required to compete effectively with large global players. What advice do you have?
Sure. Well, I think in the transport space, it's certainly really about the different use cases that are there. And so, for us, for Uber, for Ola, I think we're serving sort of different needs for the customer. And so it's about putting together that whole ecosystem. And for us, and to your second point, when you're thinking about competing against global partners that they know about India, or maybe they don't know about India, I think the important thing that you can do is certainly have a focal niche. I mean, ideally, you'd be focusing on a part of the market which is not served or is difficult for others outside to serve. So that's one thing. And then secondly, and this is what we do, of course, with Self-Drive, but secondly, you want to make sure that you have some sort of technological product localization or innovation, which really gives you that sort of hook, if you will, in terms of the customers. So I think for us, one example would be we offer doorstep delivery to the customer for a very nominal 300 rupee charge. And that's something which, if, let's say today, a large American player were to come in, like a Hertz or Avis, and try to do that, it would be quite difficult because we already have the operating modalities around that. We already have that product thinking and understanding. And so I think that is very much applicable for other industries as well.
Okay. Since we were talking about regulation earlier, some part of that regulation, I understand, is also driven by the fact that you depend heavily on technology.
Right.
Talk to us about innovation in technology, because you're an industry that's constantly innovating.
Right.
What happens if you don't necessarily have the funds to innovate? And how much of technology should you use, even if you're a small business or a startup?
Right. Well, that's a tough one, because I think certainly it depends market to market, but the idea is it's the easiest way to build a sustainable advantage is by having technology that's sort of unique and customized, which gives you access to the consumer in a different way from a product standpoint, and then also gives you access to data in a very rich way. But when you think about technology as it relates to our business, and really any early stage business, I think the point is you have to kind of look holistically at the ecosystem. So don't really just look at one slug or one slice of that user journey experience. And for us, that means that we have to understand everything around the hardware and the technology that's in the car itself. But we also have to think about the booking system, the payment system, the inventory system, everything that's there kind of on the back end. And then of course on the application side of things, everyone now today is going mobile first. Hopefully not mobile only, but you have the majority of your bookings through the app. And so how you can make something like an app for a B2C business more than just a booking engine. So it's about, for us, that means like in-vehicle experience. And so technology touches every part of that. And so I can say the same thing for many other businesses, but looking holistically at not just booking and payments, but what else can you do for your customer through technology to bring the level of experience from here to all the way up to here.
How do you go about educating people about what exactly it is you do? What kind of branding and marketing and communication strategy do you really undertake?
Sure. So we're a little different in that respect, I would say, from most. And we've never really spent a lot of money on marketing. We've always relied more on word of mouth and thinking about social media. And you may have seen we do a lot of different viral events and activities. So we really look to kind of raise awareness, shock value, if you will, almost. But it's important to note, like for us in our business, and again, we're a little unique because we're not a commoditized product. What we do is very much experiential, where people take our car for a day, 2 days, 3 days. They're doing something, whether it's with family or friends or loved ones, where it's really about creating a memory, whether it's going around the city or whether it's going out of station. And you see it when people post on Facebook, they go and post on Twitter or Instagram. And I think it's about that hyper-local sense of community and really creating this amazing, we almost like to think of it as a cult of users who have this experience and will consistently come back and use it more and more. So that sort of, I'd say broader product affinity is what we're always trying to build.
Talk to us then about what the next, say, 5 to 10 years is looking like. Was that too long a time frame? And do you want to talk to us about what the immediate future is looking like?
Sure. So 10 years is an eternity, even 5 years for a startup. 3 years is an eternity. So I think looking at 6 to 12 months is what usually gives the best visibility. And we do have a 3-year plan for sure. But I think for us in the near term, it's really about going much, much deeper in our existing 7 markets, now 12 markets from this month. And so really making sure that we're serving every last nook and cranny of that market. And so that means thinking about all parts of the city, all parts of the airport, and then going out into more, 15, 20 more tier 2 markets that are, healthy populations, 10, 15 lakh plus populations, and really building on what we've done in the tier 1 markets. And I think going forward, longer term, you could even think about, using this, what we've built and developed here in India, as an emerging economy platform, and thinking about it beyond just India as something you could bring into other parts of South Asia, Southeast Asia, MENA, and Sub-Saharan Africa. So I think that very much is a real prospect and is very much there. So I think that's, of course, much more longer term, call it 2-3 years in the future. But I think that's what we always kind of have an eye towards is how we can better productize and create broader distribution for what we've built.
What would you say has been the biggest lesson that you've possibly learned along the way as an entrepreneur, and what would be the one piece of advice? If you had one piece of advice for our viewers, what would that be?
Sure. So I mean, there's too much to give here, but I think for us, as we think, and as I look back and kind of your introspective around it, what thing that you didn't realize early on when you're starting the business and then where you are today is how much different levels of scale in the business in terms of whether it's cities, cars, whatever metric you have as a business, that really impacts a lot in terms of your team structure and the dynamics. So when you're a company that's doing, let's say, 50 lakh a month in revenue versus 5 crores, or say versus 10, 20 crores in revenue a month, that is a fundamentally different org structure that you're going to have in place, and the types of leaders you'll need are different. And when you're early on, you say, these are the guys, you'll be with these guys forever, or this is going to scale this way. It doesn't really work out that way in reality, and you have to be constantly every 3 months or so thinking about, where are we now, how do you do this? And so I would say that that's one big learning from our side as well, as we kind of look to get this right in the future. But then going on to entrepreneurs, I would say really it's so important that you get people, so the founders, it's really easy. When you have people who are bought into the vision and what you believe, but it's about the first 15, 20 employees and really making sure that those people are bought into the vision and the mission of your company. I can't stress that enough. That's so important. If you have those people, because you want employee number 23, number 28 to be working as if you're employee number 1. And if you get that, then really everything else falls into place.
Wish you all the very best for your future, and
sure.
Thanks for coming down to our studios.
Thanks so much.
Let's take a quick break. On the other side, we'll feature a conversation with Amazon. Welcome back. You're with us here on The Leaders of Tomorrow, and tonight we're bringing you a special conversation that my colleagues at Startup Central did earlier with the management of Amazon India. My My colleague at Startup Central, Chandra Shrikant, spoke with Amit Agarwal, India head for Amazon, exclusively earlier on a whole host of different topics. She started by asking him about the new launches in the India market and how recently released reports show that Amazon Seller Services, in fact, has overtaken Flipkart in the domestic retail market, this for the first time since 2014. In fact, a report by Forrester shows that as a preferred destination, Amazon's share has gone up from 30% to 76% in just 2 years. This is, of course, as a preferred retailer here in India. She also quizzed him on competition, given that not only are homegrown companies getting more aggressive, even global giants, notably Alibaba, are keenly eyeing a larger share of the market here in India. Here's a slice of that conversation.
We are very excited to announce the launch of our global Amazon Launchpad program in India. Think of it as a red carpet program, purpose-built for small, medium startups, really small startups who are launching great, creative, innovative products. And what this program allows you to do is it allows these startups to launch their products fast to customers in India using Amazon's infrastructure, logistics, website, reach. It allows these startups to use our services, our targeting capabilities to get noticed. It allows them to build a brand, use our account management support and other tools on the website to build a brand. And it also allows them to go global because Amazon Launchpad being a global program, they are automatically qualified to reach out and sell their products in countries wherever Amazon Launchpad is available. So it's in 7 countries today. So very excited to launch this. It means a lot for Amazon in India because it allows our customers to get access to great innovative inventions very early in their life cycle, be a part of that. And it's great for the Indian startup ecosystem because it allows these startups to get access to a very large customer base and to services that allows them to have a chance of greater success. Our focus is very much on the 3 things that we believe customers most care about. We believe in providing customers with the largest selection of products, ensure that we keep launching services so that sellers reduce their cost of operations and pass saving to customers as low prices, and we keep delivering products fast and reliably. So pretty much in all of those 3 dimensions, as I've been talking about for a very long time, Amazon has been the leader. Today we have more than 95 million products on our websites. More than 70% of our demand can enjoy 1.8 million plus products eligible for next day guaranteed delivery. And with more than 140,000 sellers selling products to our customers, we are very, very excited by where we are. Pretty much in all metrics that customers care about, and also on other metrics such as traffic on the website, on the mobile app, on our mobile web, and now even in what people are buying and how much they are buying, we are the leader. More importantly, we continue to see exponential growth rates. As I said, we have been growing 135 to 150% every quarter, year over year. And even post this demonetization event, we continue to see triple-digit growth rates. So I do not really see us slowing down. Very, very excited by the momentum that we're seeing, and we should carry it into the next year. It's all about the 3 things that I talked about. We ask ourselves, how can we provide more and more selection to customers? And if that requires us to build more infrastructure, more logistics, then we would do that. We ask ourselves, how can we have more and more customers get their items delivered fast and reliably? And so we ask ourselves, how do we get more and more small and medium businesses launched online, make them successful, reduce their cost of operations so that they can offer great prices? So essentially our investment timings are determined by these 3 needs, and our investment horizons are very long term. So you should continue to see us invest in these areas.
Startup Central also spoke to him about the big talking point in India of late, and that's demonetization and the impact that demonetization has had on the retail industry. Here's what he had to say.
So when the demonetization happened, we switched off cash on delivery for 48 hours. Because we wanted to give our logistics infrastructure the chance to stabilize and move from one compliant world to a new compliant world. Post that, we restarted cash on delivery, but more importantly, a lot of the services that Amazon Payments offers today, such as the ability for customers to load their Amazon Pay, load a balance in their Amazon Payments account on Amazon today, through gift certificates, and to be able to choose a electronic payment method right up to the doorstep has seen tremendous adoption. To give you a sense, the number of customers that have adopted prepaid methods or electronic methods at their doorstep, even though they might have chosen cash on delivery, has gone up 10 times. As we look at our business today, our year-over-year growths have pretty much stabilized. It's still triple-digit growth, and we're very excited to see a dramatic shift towards electronic payments. Now, after we have restarted our services, given customers the opportunity to choose electronic payment methods at their doorstep, even load up balances and shop on Amazon, we are seeing our business very much like it was before. It's growing at triple-digit growth rates, and all categories see a very similar impact, positive impact.
Finally, Chandra Srikanth quizzed Amit Agarwal about the recent impact that the retail industry has seen in terms of devastation from Cyclone Varda, particularly in Tamil Nadu, and also asked him what plans were looking like in India, whether it would be a phase of consolidation going forward for Amazon, or whether the company would look at investing at the same pace that it did last year here in India. Here's what he had to say.
Well, our levers are going to be the same. They have been the same even though we've been around for 20 years, which is how do we provide customers access to more selection at great prices and fast delivery. So no matter what happens and how things change, customers even 20 years down the line would not say, give me less products at higher prices and slow delivery. So we take a lot of confidence in that customer insight. And you would continue to see us invest very aggressively on those three dimensions and have a very long-term outlook. So very focused on these three customer pillars, as we call them, and you should continue to see us invest aggressively in them.
Today we brought you tips both from Amazon as well as from Zoomcar in terms of the urban transportation landscape. Do remember, if you're a company that wants to be featured here on the show or have any query about any aspect of your business, you can write in to us at leadersoftomorrow@timesgroup.com. You can personally tweet at me at Sunanda_J. You can reach me on social media using the hashtag LOT, or you can call us on that number you see flashing on your screen. We promise to have all your queries answered. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.